Ever think about those hidden problems maybe lurking around your house? Not the obvious stuff like a dripping tap, but the things you can't see that might be brewing up real trouble.
Yeah, the out of sight, out of mind things.
Exactly. And today, we're going to dig into one of those underground issues, tree roots, and specifically how they can seriously mess with your plumbing.
It's a bigger problem than most people realize, I think. You know, until you suddenly have water backing up somewhere, you really don't want it to back up.
Right. And often, like we found digging into the info from AA Quick podcast, the source of the chaos is literally growing in your own yard, your trees.
It sounds almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? Trees are good, but yeah, those roots can be surprisingly aggressive towards pipes.
Yeah, and you hear that saying, right? That a tree's roots are as wide and deep as the tree is tall. A Quick sort of confirms that's a decent rule of thumb.
Which really makes you think, what does that mean for all the pipes buried down there? It's a lot of potential overlap.
Definitely. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive is to understand, how do these roots actually get into the pipes? What are the signs we should look out for? And crucially, what can we actually do about it?
It's fascinating, really, how they operate. Think of the root system like this living network, almost like a circuit board, constantly mapping and searching for moisture.
A living circuit board, I like that.
Yeah.
Searching for water.
Exactly. And that drive is incredibly strong. So even a hairline crack, maybe a slightly loose joint in a sewer line that's like a beacon signaling water source here, they'll target it.
Okay, so they're not just smashing through pipes with brute force necessarily. They're more like opportunistic infiltrators.
Yeah.
Finding the weak points.
Precisely. And AA Quick highlighted that different pipe materials have different levels of vulnerability.
Right. Like what kind of pipes are most at risk?
Well, older pipes made of clay tile, they're a classic target. They're rigid. The sections can shift a bit with the ground settling over time.
Creating little gaps at the joints.
You got it. Tiny openings that roots can easily wiggle into. But it's not just the really old stuff. Cast iron pipes, if they start to weaken or corrode, they become vulnerable too.
Okay. What about newer materials like PVC? Are those safe?
Safer, maybe, but not totally immune. While PVC itself is tough and doesn't corrode like iron, the joints can still be weak points if they weren't sealed perfectly during installation. Roots can exploit a bad connection.
Huh. So nowhere is completely safe, potentially.
No.
All right, so if this underground invasion might be happening, what clues pop up above ground? What should we, be listening or looking for?
Often, one of the very first signs is things just draining slowly, especially fixtures like toilets or maybe your bathtub or shower, things that take a lot of water.
Slow drains. Okay, that makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, gurgling sounds. If you flush the toilet or drain a sink and hear this weird bubbling or gurgling noise from the pipes, that's a common one.
Gurgling. Noted. It definitely sounds like something's not right.
Another big one, recurring backups. Like, you have a blockage, maybe you try snaking the drain yourself or even call someone out.
And it just keeps coming back.
Exactly. If cabling only provides temporary relief, that strongly suggests roots are the underlying issue, just growing back.
Okay, that's a major red flag then. What about outside the house? Any signs in the yard?
Sometimes, yeah. You might notice unusually green or lush patches of grass over the sewer line because, well, the roots are leaking water and nutrients there. Or, more concerningly, soft, mushy spots or even actual sinkholes or depressions forming in the lawn.
Wow, okay, sinkholes are serious. And I guess the worst sign would be...
the smell. If you start noticing sewage odors, either inside your house near drains or outside around where the sewer line runs, that's a pretty advanced sign that there's a breach and a blockage.
Yikes. Okay, that paints a pretty clear and kind of smelly picture. So once the roots are inside, how do they actually block the pipe? Is it just the root mass itself?
That's part of it, but it's a bit more complex. The roots, especially the finer hair-like ones, act almost like a net or a sieve inside the pipe.
Like a net, okay.
Yeah, so they don't just take up space, they actively trap grease, toilet paper, bits of waste, anything solid flowing down the line.
Ah, I see. So the root itself starts the problem, but then it catches everything else.
Exactly. And that accumulation is what builds up and eventually leads to those partial and then often complete blockages. It snowballs.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, we understand the threat. We know the signs. What about solutions? How do we fight back against the root invasion?
Well, prevention and maintenance are key. Routine cleaning, sometimes called pabling or hydrojetting, can cut out existing roots periodically.
So like a regular haircut for your pipes.
Sort of, yeah. And another really helpful thing is having a cleanout installed. That's basically an access point, usually a capped pipe sticking up slightly in your yard, that gives direct access to the sewer line.
Okay, and why is that so helpful?
It just makes maintenance like cabling so much easier and cheaper.
Yeah.
Plumbers don't have to go through toilets or roof vents. They have a straight shot to the main line. Saves time and hassle.
Smart. Like putting an access panel where you know you might need to work? What if you suspect roots but aren't sure?
That's where a camera inspection is invaluable. Seriously. They feed a small waterproof camera down the line.
And you can actually see the roots.
You can see everything, the condition of the pipe, where the roots are getting in, how bad the intrusion is, if there's other damage like cracks or collapses. It takes out all the guesswork.
That sounds incredibly useful for diagnosis.
Yeah.
Are there other treatments besides just cutting them?
Yes, there are root treatments available. Some are chemicals that kill the roots inside the pipe and can help slow down regrowth for a while. It's often used in conjunction with cabling.
Okay. And it sounds like, from the AA Quick info, they really emphasize figuring out the right fix, not just the most expensive one.
Exactly that. Their whole approach seems to be about accurate diagnosis. First, often using that camera, and then recommending the solution that actually fits the problem, whether it's maintenance, repair, or sometimes pipe replacement if the damage is severe. But they want to show you the proof.
Which builds trust, right? You see the problem yourself.
Definitely.
So wrapping this up then, the big takeaway is pretty clear. Those beautiful trees in the yard. Their roots can be a silent but pretty significant threat to your home's plumbing system down below.
Absolutely. It's something you really need to be aware of, especially if you have large, mature trees close to where your sewer line runs. It's a major risk factor.
Makes sense. Maybe take a quick look outside after this and just consider the layout. Where are the big trees relative to the house?
Good homework for any homeowner.
And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unseen natural forces might be impacting our homes? Things we don't normally think about. And how can we be more proactive about protecting our infrastructure before small hidden issues become big, expensive headaches?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Staying ahead of the game, definitely food for thought.
Hey folks, it's Jim from AA Quick. If you've got big trees near your line, don't wait for the roots to win. Call 314-429-7131 and we'll check things out before the damage gets expensive. Mention this podcast and take $20 off your service. Tell them Jim sent you.